Hi guys, how have you been? Well, we've got a couple of more readings here from Dime Store Days by Lester Glasner and Brownie Harris. Take a look at some of these things. And we have this book here again, Dime Store, Green Parade, Popular Culture, 1925-1955, by Robert Heidi and John Gilman. So anyway, you remember these, don't you? That's the cast iron banks. That must have been from that era also. That's the Flatiron Building, and that's a generic tower. This, like a skyscraper. This is a Greyhound bus. These are a couple of Greyhound buses. Here we go. Louis Sherry. That was a candy at the time. Louis Sherry, and they gave a nice tin box like that when you bought some candies. Yeah, this is an interesting thing. Look at this. This is a Little Orphan Annie, Depression Green Little Orphan Annie plug-in, metal stove with electrical coils so that children could heat up their own pot of Ovaltine. 1933. That's a nice piece of work. Oh, these are Disney items here. Disney collectibles. Lionel Trains Mickey Mouse wind-up handcart that sold for $1 in 1934. Walt Disney Productions. Let's look at this. 6 examples of the Big Little books featuring Little Orphan Annie. Whitman Publishing Company, Racine, Wisconsin, 1930s. A group of Big Little books featuring Mickey Mouse and his friends. Whitman Books, 1930s. Walt Disney Productions. Here's Dick Tracy. Gangbusters. Dick Tracy, the Green Hornet, Mr. District Attorney in Big Little Books, Walt Whitman. The district, here they are, District Attorney, Gangbusters, Junior G-Men. Here's another one by Dick Tracy. What's he saying? Stick 'em up, Boris. Arson. And you rats, stick 'em up. Dick Tracy in action, and a pop-up book. Pleasure Books, Incorporated, Chicago, 1935. 1935. This is Art Deco designs. Let's take a look at Dime Store Days again. Quentin Crisps. He wrote a foreword for this book. Let's take a look. He talks a little bit about Joan Crawford in the book. Let's get to it. Here's a nice collage, very nice collage. Tells you where you can find things. The Glorious Astaire, Fred Astaire, that's 114. It tells you the pages. Forward by Quentin Crisps. Now, rich beyond the wildest dreams of income tax officials, Mr. Glasner never for a moment forgets the privations of the past. His memory dwells lovingly not on the sparseness of those years, but on the brittle ornaments with which he desperately tried to decorate them. As Mr. Beardsley reveled in sin, as M. Guinea believed in depravity, so Mr. Glasner worshipped tawdriness. He now lives in a house filled to the exclusion of present comfort with relics of plastic hope from the past. In this book, he beckons almost without a word along corridors which are flanked by shelves weighed down with dime store merchandise. His favorite period of history was the 40s, when death stalked the world and all merriment was like the smile of a skull. The people he adored were the girls who stood behind the counters in those Woolworthless shops which he frequented as a child. And in many ways, those salesmen women were very similar to the goods they insolently avoided selling, but were better in that they were bigger. They aped and probably hoped to become the heroines of those movies of which, in that far-off, happier time, you could see 6 a week, productions so abysmally B that only Mr. Glasner can remember which wan rats they featured. Mr. Glasner does not approve of success. The stars we are allowed to recall are not those whom some rich man effortlessly placed upon the summit of fame, nor the few who seem to have drifted upward on wings of spirituality. Here we see only women, the marble of whose effigies is streaked with the grime of their past struggles. Of these, Miss Crawford was undoubtedly the queen, not because she was elected, but because she struck the faces of her competitors with gem-encrusted fists and trampled their falling bodies beneath the leaden platforms of her shoes. She represented perfectly that phase of fashion when women decided to become ogres. Her face